Well, I can't imagine a better guest than one we have right now, our good friend from the Diocese of Camden, Deacon Anthony Sio. Hey, Deacon, how are you?
I am doing wonderful, Jim and Cheryl. I hope you're doing well, too.
Yes, yes. Happy Lent.
Blessed
Thank
Lent.
you so
Can,
very,
can,
very
Blessed
can, you,
much.
Lent.
can you say Happy Lent?
Yeah. There's
Stop being
yes.
so happy. It's Lent.
I think some people will be happy when Lent is over.
Right?
But yes,
Yeah.
we'll
Well,
say happy Lent.
that's right.
You know, I have to tell you guys, I really spend a lot of time preparing for this segment because I love doing it so much.
Oh.
And then I listen to you when you come on and what you speak about. And I just want to go in so many different directions. it's great conversation that you guys engage in. So right
Well-
now, in my mind, I've got the disco happening in one part of my mind, and I've got the Anthony's happening in the other part of my mind, and it's just so funny. I have to tell
Well,
you, it's so
that
funny.
that's the result of not preparing. See, you spend hours preparing. We don't spend any time preparing, so that's why it's all over the place.
We just
Well-
continue our morning coffee conversation
That's
on the air.
right.
That's all.
Oh,
And that's what's beautiful about it because it's so natural. It
Oh.
really is. And when you were speaking about another Anthony, it makes me laugh because my family and friends always call me Anthony. And the only people who ever call me Tony were people who I worked with.
Uh-huh.
So
okay.
it would always be funny because if a caller would come to the house at night, as it often did because of the line of work I was in,
Mhm.
if they asked for Tony, my wife immediately knew that it was somebody from work
From
calling,
work.
as opposed to if it was an Anthony call, it was like it's your family again.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
and that's how it is with our son.
Same.
We
Mhm.
we'll always call him Anthony, but
Right.
with his friends, in fact, his in-laws and his wife, they all call him Tony. And when we went to his wedding, and I went up before at the reception, I said, "We want to congratulate Maria and Anthony." And they said, "Who's Anthony?" They didn't know him by that name.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't
Right.
that great? But again, thank you for having me. It really is so good to be here. It's an exciting time. Lent is we can call it Happy Lent. We call it Exciting Lent.
Mm.
And I know that when I was on with you folks the last time, one of the things I spoke about as we were coming into the new year is to not be afraid and to open yourself up to new possibilities in the new year.
Mhm.
And then we came to Lent, and it's a time that we open ourselves up to even more possibilities, depending upon if we really take a good deep look inside of ourselves. So I guess I want to ask everybody the question for our listeners and viewers and you folks as well. How is Lent going?
Right.
Is it going the way you would hope it would be going, or are we stumbling a little bit? And one of the things I say to people is, if it's going as it should be, that's great. Keep it up because we still have a month ahead of us.
Mhm.
If it's not, don't be discouraged because there's still time for us to, become that person that God created us to be during this Lenten time. So we still have time. Don't be discouraged. But for those where the Lent is going well, and for those who might be just stumbling a little bit, it's always a good time to regroup now. And try to keep the priorities in our mind. What are those things that when we were talking about within ourselves, what are we going to do for Lent? What are we going to stop doing for Lent?
Mhm.
Whatever it was, those decisions came to us because we might have been struggling with something, and we recognized there's things in our life that we needed to change. So we hopefully made good Lenten resolutions to do that. Now it's a good time to look at those again and say, okay, how am I really doing? I wanted to make this change. Am I doing it? And I think that in order for any Lent to go well and for a person to achieve the goal, they need to make sure that they're keeping the spiritual nature, the spiritual side in their lives. Don't you think it's important to really focus on that spiritual side in order to achieve what it is we want to do at Lent?
Absolutely.
I think so. Putting God first, and we know this, when all those types of things in our life are right, then flowing from that, everything else will be right.
And that is exactly correct. And I think that's one of the major keys. So making sure that we revisit, reaffirm the fact that we chose to do or not do certain things because we knew we needed to change. And then, we examine honestly if we include that spiritual component. What is that spiritual component? It's, that daily prayer, that finding time to pray the rosary each day. Maybe saying that litany of humility every morning to make sure that we put ourselves in the right place where we should be, within ourselves. Are we going to Mass as we said that we would? If we can't go physically, or at least, watching that Mass live stream where we can. Are we going to Eucharistic adoration? This is one of the wonderful things about Lent is that almost every parish really does extra things.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to go to the Stations of the Cross. We're able to pray the Stations, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're able to, have more opportunities for adoration. There might be parish missions going on during this period of time. So there are so many more opportunities that we're given to strengthen our spiritual life, and it becomes a great time for us to avail ourselves to those things. I know that at the beginning when you were praying, you pray for Bishop Fulton Sheen. One of the decisions that I made for Lent this year is that I was going to reread one of the most influential books of my life, and that's The Life of Christ by Fulton Sheen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That book means more to me in terms of my spiritual conversion than anything else I could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And I just recommend it to everyone. So I'm rereading that book for probably the fifth time in the last 10 years. It's really interesting. I highlight when I'm reading a book. If I read it for a second time, I highlight in a different color. If I read it a third time, I might use a red pen. The fourth time, I might put check marks. And it's great to go back and look to see the things that struck you this time versus what might have struck you 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Right.
Because you continue on that spiritual journey.
Right.
So maybe one of the things that people could put into their spiritual strengthening is to go back and revisit some spiritual resource that was really a strong, important, help for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's fascinating. I mean, look, I would love to look at this book or do that myself and say 5 years ago, the yellow marks, spoke to me in such a way, but now, that's no issue. But look at what's jumping off the page at me now because of the different place that my heart is or my mind is. That's a great idea.
It's exactly correct. So one of the examples I've used, I think I've used it before here. I liken our spiritual journey to a spiral staircase. When we walk up, if you can picture, you're walking up a spiral staircase, and as you go around each time, you're seeing the same landscape, but you're seeing it from a slightly different vantage point. You might be a little higher, you might be a little bit different angle. And that's the way it is with our spiritual journey. As we ascend that spiral staircase, we're seeing things from a different angle and a different perspective. And we're seeing things based upon the way that our spirituality, we're kind of layering on top of where we were before. And when we revisit certain things that we've done before, whether it be a book, whether it be prayers, whatever it might be, as our faith grows and as our spiritual life strengthens, we find different things. We find things that deepen us and strengthen us in a different way. So I do recommend that to folks. And again, as I mentioned, Bishop Sheen was just an amazing person for me. Spiritually.
And it reminds me, Deacon Anthony, what St. John Paul once said about conversion. Like it's not a one-time event. Conversion is a lifelong journey. So you even the way you practice your faith or the things that touch your heart or mold your faith along the way at different points in your life. It's different things in different ways and different individuals. And as you're pointing out, even things you read or study. It kind of molds us all along the way so that finally when we get to that great and glorious day when we return to the Lord, hopefully we'll be that complete person.
Yes, exactly. And and it's not always moving in a forward position. I think one of the things we understand is that sometimes we get kind of stuck in the mud in our spiritual life,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we actually go backwards.
Right.
It's not this straight journey. It's a winding path. It's one that takes us in a lot of different directions. But the important thing is that we stay on the path. And if we do get bogged down, if during Lent, if we've kind of lost our focus, it's not too late to just kind of take a deep breath and say, I need to start putting one foot in front of the other again,
Mm-hmm.
and go back to doing what I knew was going to be important for me going forward, so that we take that spiritual journey forward again. It's something that we remember. We need to remember in life. We can't just beat ourselves up if our spiritual life does sometimes stall, stutter. It's okay.
Mm.
Stay focused. Stay close to people who are going to be the right influence on you, and stay close to those things that provide spiritual guidance. So find your way back into the Stations of the Cross and Eucharistic adoration and Mass and confession and all of those things, because it will put us back on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
When we look, for example, even if we look at this Sunday's Gospel, which is just so beautiful, the woman at the well, and
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're going to have reflection by Scott Hahn, I think you mentioned,
Yes.
in a little bit. There is such depth to this particular gospel, and I think depending upon where a person is in their spiritual life, it has different meanings. You can look at this, from an evangelization perspective and say, this is what it's talking to me about. It's talking about evangelization. You can look at it as Jesus being the supreme bridegroom, okay? and it's taken you from that perspective. I think just depends upon where you are spiritually, but there is such depth, and I think it's Bishop Barron. He might have been quoting somebody else when he said it. He said, in order for us to have a strong spiritual life and allow the water to flow into us, we need to have obstacles cleared out inside of us. We need to open ourselves up so that we can be filled with the presence of our Lord. And I think he uses the example. He says it's like a helicopter that needs to land. In order for that helicopter to land, the land needs to be clear. There needs to be a space for it to land.
Mm.
And so it is with our own spiritual journey. We need to clear that space inside of us so that helicopter, that Jesus, okay, that grace, we can appreciate it as we clear that space inside us and allow it to land within us. And I think that's the message I think I want to be able to give to our listeners today, is that we have time ahead of us yet. We haven't. We if we're doing not as good as we should, it's okay. Take a step backwards, take a deep breath. Let's move forward in this faith journey. That when we come at the end of that, when we come to Easter, we have become closer to being the person that God created us to be.
Mm. And Deacon Joe, I was reading yesterday a reflection on the attitude or sense of detachment during the season. And if we get bogged down on this journey, and we feel the weight of worldly things, eject them, get rid of them, dump them, and make room for God, because that'll lighten the journey for you. And that's what the season is, to detach ourselves from some things. That's why we give things up. We have a sense of mortification, and I think that's what helps us along the way.
And what you're speaking about is being open to that grace, to recognize that grace is there. God is always there. Jesus is always there for us. Jesus is always waiting for us. We think sometimes, I can't find it. Why has God abandoned me? No. Jesus is there. Okay? It's not you who chose me, but I chose you. Right? That's what our Lord tells us.
Yeah.
So when we surrender and we clear that path, we are able to recognize that He is there waiting for us. So we need to allow ourselves to be found. And I think when we're able to do that, we're able to come closer and start to move. We're starting to move up that spiral staircase. We're able to continue to ascend in the right direction, in the right perspective. So there's so many things happening within our parishes right now Avail yourself of those things. Become active and involved, and all of those things are there to lead you closer to Christ at this time.
Amen.
Yes,
All right. Well, Deacon,
yes. Always words of wisdom for
thank you
all of
so
us.
much. And as before we leave, though, I just have to ask you. I know that when Cheryl went to the disco, she had disco boots. Did you wear one of those John Travolta white jumpsuits?
So let me tell you, I had platform shoes. Okay, I had the big medallion around my neck with the shirt opened up down to the middle of my chest,
Yes.
and with the collar out over the jacket. So picture it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a sad sight.
All right. I think now give me an idea. I think we ought to sometime this year during our 20th anniversary year here at Mr. Reader, we have pictures of all the friends here, the workers, the people who volunteer from the 70s.
Yes.
and I am not ashamed to share it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You know what? It's okay to laugh at each other.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
When my mother passed, God rest her soul, we were going through her things, and she had an envelope for all the kids, and there was in my envelope there was this picture of me. I looked like I came from Welcome Back, Kotter. My hair
Your
was
hair.
Mr. Kotter.
But it shows the journey, though. We've
things
all
she
come
saved.
from somewhere. We are where we are now.
All right,
But-
we'll think about that. I want to see that picture of Deacon Anthony in his platform shoes. That's
Yes.
No
yes.
problem. I will find it and I will get it. to you.
okay. Very
Fabulous.
good. Well, listen, we look forward to speaking with you next month, and by that time it'll be Easter. So
Yes.
have a blessed rest of your Lent. Thanks for all your wise words and teachings here. We really appreciate it, Deacon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and a blessed Easter to everyone.
Thank you. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Bye.
All right, friends, we'll be right back with Jim and the weather. Don't go away.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real though far off hymn that tells a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear that music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? The peace of Christ makes fresh my heart, a fountain ever springing. All things are mine since I am His. How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth,
God gave us night and day so we could play and pray together. So now let's see what's headed our way as Jim gives us the weather.
All righty, that means it's time for our domestic church chief meteorologist, Jim Sonny Hoffman.
Yeah, Sonny, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, I was wondering, where did he get that from?
I have no windows in this studio. I have no idea what it's like outside. I just said,
Well, as my lovely wife always says, above the clouds, the sun is always shining.
that's right. And I just imagine, Jim, that you're just Mr. Sunshine all day long, no matter what the weather is outside.
We can only imagine.
So you heard the rumor, right? That's just a rumor. I'm not.
No,
I'm an old grumpy man.
there you go. Well, there's something for you. We were just talking with Deacon Anthony because we were talking about how we looked in the 70s. Those were our teen years. But you probably were in elementary school in the 70s, right?
He was a kid.
When were your teen years? The 80s?
So I was, I was born in '61.
Okay. So your real teen years in you were more of an 80s guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So my age right now is the year I was born.
Oh, it is?
Not 1,900.
I was going to say, and you're doing great. You're doing great for that.
You sound pretty good for someone almost 2 millennia older. Well, so I can't see outside the window, so you have to tell me what's going on out there.
Well, my window, it's cloudy, and it just started to sprinkle out there a bit, which is a little sign of things to come. It's going to be a mess out there. So it's time to just close the windows and think about sunny Arizona.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So tonight we're going to have that rain moving in, and it's going to mix with snow later on as the temperature falls. We don't expect any accumulation at all, especially in this area. But if you go further north, like up the Lehigh Valley, Poconos, up around there, you start getting some accumulating snow. But for us, it's just, typical New Jersey weather, right? Cold and rain.
Yeah.
So little snow mixed in. Don't be surprised if you see that. Low around 33, so just above freezing. And then Saturday, that rain continues, and with snow mixed in, that's going to change to all rain. High near 44 degrees. And then Saturday night, we're going to clear out. Yay. And we're going to have a low around 27. It's going to get quite chilly. Wow. Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 47. And then Sunday night, it looks like we're going to have rain moving back in, low around 36. And then Monday, a rainy day, high near 45. And just looking at the next week, we're going to have rain up and on into Tuesday. But then starting to look better later in the week, and by Friday we could warm up to the mid-50s. So not looking too bad.
So we're really not going to have any winter this year, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I was joking with someone because it started to get a little colder
Yeah.
the last few days, and it was like, so winter and spring decided to flip.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a good point.
That's right. And don't forget,
Yeah,
spring ahead tomorrow night.
Oh.
Got a spring ahead.
That's right.
Right?
spring ahead.
Remember
right?
the old
Spring ahead,
days?
fall back.
The
Yep.
old days we used to have to do it manually with our clocks.
Go around the house and change all the clocks.
Now it all just changes by itself. The atomic
Yeah,
clocks.
technology makes things a lot easier.
That's right. So the sun will be setting a little later starting on Sunday. Although we won't see it, it's going to be raining.
That's right.
All right,
I like
James.
that, though. I like the lighter later. So that,
Yes.
I do too. I do too. I like after
forward
dinner
to
going out and sitting outside a little bit before the sun sets,
Yeah.
if the weather's warm enough. But yeah, that's the beauty of our seasons. So we want to thank you, Mr. Hoffman, as always, for being a part of our Friday program and all the good weather that you bring to us. And we appreciate all you do.
Sure. Just remember, above that rain and the clouds,
Okay.
the sun is shining.
We can only imagine.
And we can thank Jackie for that word,
Yes,
those
thank you,
wise
Jackie.
words
Yeah.
of wisdom. Very good. All right, Jim. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. God bless.
God bless you.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
God gave us night and day so we could play and pray together. So now let's see what's headed our way as Jim gives us the weather. They're heroic and virtuous, living in sanctity. But guess what? When on earth they were just like you and me, and now they're the saint of the day.
Saint of the day. Hey, we should send that little jingle down to EWTN so they can play it on the air next week when Anthony's on Life on the Rock.
You're going to surprise Anthony with that lovely little gesture?
Sure, they can play that. It's about saints.
That's right.
He writes music
He'll
about
fall
saints.
off the chair. But I think it's a great idea.
Why not? Well, that means it's time to play Saint of the Day. And of course, you know the rules. Cheryl's going to give you clues about a particular saint that we have chosen to be our saint of the day. It's not the liturgical saint of the day, so listen carefully. And when she gets to the end of the clues, Cheryl will say, this is the last clue. When she tells you that, if you think you know who it is, you want to take a guess, give us a call at 609 493 8255. That's 609 493 8255. And now let's play Saint of the Day.
Today's saint that we have chosen was born on the island of Majorca in November of 1713. He entered the Franciscan order and was ordained in 1737. He taught philosophy and theology at the University of Padua. When he was 37, he landed in Mexico City and spent the rest of his life working for the conversion of the peoples of the New World. In 1768, he took over the missions of the Jesuits, who had been wrongly expelled by the government in the Mexican province of, at the time, Lower California and Upper California, which is now modern-day California. He founded 21 missions and converted thousands of Indians. Converts were taught sound methods of agriculture, cattle raising, and arts and crafts. He was a dedicated religious and missionary. He was in large part responsible for the foundation and spread of the church on the west coast of the United States when it was still mission territory. In 1784, worn out by his apostolic labors, he was called home to his eternal rest. And now my last clue.
609 493 8255.
He was beatified by Pope John Paul II and canonized by Pope Francis when he came to the U.S. in 2015.
609 493 8255. We do have a contestant. Oops, I just knocked over.
We
all the
just
books.
lost it.
Hello, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi. My name is Fernando. I'm calling from my car.
Yes.
All right, Fernando, in your car. That's good.
How
somewhere
are
in
you?
somewhere in the world.
Yes, but that's
Yes.
okay.
All right.
How are you?
Good.
We're great, Fernando. And who do you think today's saint of the day is?
San Junipero Serra.
That's right, Fernando. St. Junipero Serra. Very good. All right.
Beautiful.
Hey,
Wonderful. Was there a particular clue that gave it away for you, Fernando?
in a Franciscan friar and a missionary in what's today our state of California.
Very
Yes.
good.
Have you ever been to those mission churches?
No, I haven't had a chance, and I'm looking forward to it one day.
Yes.
God willing.
Yes, we visited a couple of them, and I just think everybody needs to go out there. And there's so many, but any one of them, it's so beautiful, surrounded by that beautiful countryside, but peaceful mission churches. So I will pray
Yes.
pray you get there one day.
Oh, yes, God willing. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
Fernando.
very much.
Don't hang up. You stay where you are. I'm going to put you on hold, Fernando, and Cheryl's going to come on the air and get some information from you. Okay?
All right.
All right. Stand by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, hold
Have a
on.
great weekend.
You too. Thanks. All right, friends. You stay where you are. We'll be back with more Friday Live in just a moment.
You have come to the seashore, neither searching for the rich nor the wise, desiring only that I should follow. Oh Lord, with your eyes set upon me, gently smiling,
Well, congratulations to Fernando, our big winner today. Junipero Serra is our. I didn't know Junipero Serra was Italian.
That he was born in Majorca,
Well, he went to. You said it was in Padua,
Padua. Yeah.
and then
where
he traveled, and then he ended up over in Mexico.
Right.
but
So you were thinking he was originally
I thought
from
he was.
Mexico.
Yeah, I thought he was Mexican.
Southern California or something. Yeah. So
If that's right,
born overseas.
I didn't know that.
Entered the Franciscans, and then they, of course, went around the world, with their mission.
I'm assuming he's Italian. Where,
No, Sarah,
where Majorca?
Sera, Junipera.
Where is Majorca?
I thought Spain.
Right, you're right. So he is of Spanish descent.
Yeah.
He just went to Italy for the food.
Yeah. Doesn't everyone?
Why? You think about it when you travel, and I haven't traveled. You've probably traveled to more places than I have outside of the U.S. But I mean, of all the places that you've been to, you were in Egypt, Belgium, you went to Israel, Ireland, England. You ever go to England?
Yeah, London,
Okay.
Paris,
Paris? Well, you
all
were,
over France.
were you
which is
all,
supposed
hitting
to
all
be
the discos when you were doing that? Or
No.
but then Italy, where's the best food?
Yeah,
Right?
Really,
Don't you think?
I think so.
How about France? They say French cuisine, but they give you like little portions, little frog legs, and who needs
All
that
I
stuff?
remember. Well, of course, they're all, everyone's very fashionably tall and thin, and everybody looks like models. But, they don't eat much. And more so, it's the display. So it's like
The presentation of the
the
food.
presentation,
Yeah,
the cuisine, top of the line cuisine. But on this beautiful plate, decorated with a few green leaves and perhaps a swirl of honey mustard or some type of, French sauce,
Right.
there'll be a scallop and a couple of green beans. And it's like, it looks lovely. Where's the rest of it?
Right. Nice appetizer. Where's the main course?
And I can remember they eat a lot of eggs and omelets, like even for dinner.
Oh, omelette. What about
The
omelette?
fromage. But they would, it would be on the menu right next to, like here you might see some form of chicken or pasta or a steak or a lamb chop. The omelet was just among all that. It wasn't like on just the breakfast menu.
Yeah.
And the eggs were so light. I don't know really what they did. It definitely added water, but then they would whip them and beat them to the point it was almost like, spraying Cool Whip out of the can of the whipped cream. It was that fluffy and light and frothy. These aren't eggs.
No. When you mentioned that they were thin, I think of it when we went to Rome for our anniversary with them. We brought the kids with us, Joseph and Anthony, our sons. One had just graduated high school, one was in college. And they were saying, boy, the girls their age, the Italian girls they're also thin. They're all because they walk. They all walk.
They walk
They
everywhere.
walk everywhere.
Especially in Rome. I mean, in the
Yeah.
city. And then maybe the villages too. Nobody really drives.
You didn't see no.
Yeah.
They were impressed on how thin the girls were compared to American girls. some American girls.
Oh, dear.
But, the food, you can't beat the food. The Borgo Pio there.
All those fresh
Right outside the
pastas and-
Vatican.
oh, my gosh. The coffee, the espresso,
The gelato, the bread.
the cannolis. Okay, is everybody like starting to salivate? It's Lent. Well, you see this sacrifice. We've given up all these things.
And
you
it's
start-
Friday in Lent, so forget about it. Forget about the food today.
Well, you could have pasta.
A
And
little bit.
I
A
remember
French portion.
loving, just living on the spinach. So simple, but the spinach with sauteed in garlic and oil.
I make that.
Yeah, you make it very well.
Thank you.
But I would, that's where I kind of discovered it. I never tried it before, and it came with something, and I thought, oh boy, am I hooked.
Sunday, I'm making stuffed shells, by the way. That's on the menu
Can
for
you
Sunday.
put spinach in that? Mine?
On yours,
I'm just like a nut over spinach all of a sudden.
I have to.
One day
yeah,
I'll turn into Popeye.
I suppose I can put some spinach in yours. I didn't think I would like it in mine. Well, yeah, you make the stuffing with the ricotta, the mozzarella, and the
Separate a little
pecorino
bit.
romano, and the basil, and the parsley.
You have to invite Anthony
And eggs.
Di Stefano.
Yeah. Or Anthony Zio. You know, all the
All the Anthonys can come over on Sunday.
I'll be making
Hey, and then Sunday beyond, we'll have our very own Anthony here,
Anthony will be in town.
praying for safe travels.
Yeah. He will have come back already from EWTN, though.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be here visiting. And
But Mama is a worry wart. I just worry.
Sunday is our daughter's birthday. can't believe Angela's going to be 32. Can you believe that? We have kids in their mid-30s. Unbelievable.
In denial here.
How do you stay so young when I'm so old?
I don't know. I look at this book, which we're going to speak with the author. You have to stay with us about Greenlee is Growing. And all the way on the last page, there's the lady in the rocker with the gray hair, looking at photos.
All right. Well, we do have
That's
another
me.
big hour coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to come back. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to break away for a couple of minutes, come back at the top of the hour. And the next hour, we have our gospel reading for the third Sunday of Lent, and Dr. Scott Hahn will do the reflection today. And also, next hour, Anthony DiStefano will join us. He's written a book called Greenlee is Growing. So we'll talk to another Anthony next hour. So don't go away, friends. There's lots more to come on Friday Live.
Bishop Robert Barron.
Tolkien has reached out to, Nordic culture and literature and Icelandic